I thought this would be a neat opportunity to kind of, what we come away from this is usually measurements. You know, the interview process has become much more, you're in front of the media, you talk, but the measurements, and then you work out in your underwear out there, throwing against nobody, against air, where you can cork one for 100 and uncork one for 70 yards down the field ball, and everybody go ooh and ah and everything like that. So here we decided to take a couple quarterbacks and put the comparison together in terms of a lot of the same kind of testing. We were waiting on Kenny Pickett's hand size and how you would, if you were a general manager. I mean, you have so many more variables but back in the day, a lot of people that were finding out these measurements didn't have Twitter, didn't have social media, right? So they got the news, right? And they looked at this. Mm-hmm. Let me know what you guys think about these two comparisons. So we have the shadow guy in his final year in college, threw for 3,968 yards.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Kenny Pickett, 4,319. Woo! Touchdowns, 42 to 34. 9 interceptions and 11 interceptions. Size 6'6", 6'3". Weight 235, 217. And measurements like we talked about, arm length 34 and 30 and 5/8. And then, of course, the hand size 10.5 inches versus 8.5 inches.
My man on the left's got some beef.
He's a big dude. He's a big dude. It kind of sounds like Carson Strong to me from Nevada. And so let's reveal who the questionable individual is there.
Hey.
Huh.
1998.
I look like a prospect.
I mean, you'd be nice in this draft.
All right. Some of the measurements that weren't put on there because it's doubtful that Kenny Pickett will do it. I don't know when he will. I benched 225 16 times.
Nice.
Okay.
My vertical was 36.
Okay. Oh. That explains the 360 windmill.
360 twice jam. Dr. Dre and Ed Level, who's the man?
And my 40 was a 4.78. So decent.
Well,
Is that average? I don't know what the average quarterback 40 time is.
I thought it was very good. I felt fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt fast. I worked on it. It all comes down to the start.
Oh, that's fast. Average QB 40 time is 4.93.
Okay, yeah. I was 6 and
And a 240-pound QB.
Yeah.
Is that what you were?
Yeah.
That said, yeah.
Athletic is, I think, the word for it. So as you can see, everybody, the measurements from the combine don't necessarily lead you to success in the NFL. I will say this, right? The lack of love for the NFL and was not there. I loved every minute of it up until I didn't, right? And I wanted to play and I wanted to do well and I wanted all that success. I wanted all those things. I just wasn't able to achieve them. And I could test out of the room, right? Start from when I was just a kid, all the way up. I was bigger, I was stronger, I was faster, I was more athletic. It always complimented me, regardless of my behavior. So I think with what the combine has become, and it's become this real pressure cooker in terms of what they have to do on and on around interviews, the testing. I did like Rachel Bonetta's point around how they're trying to make it more of a game atmosphere. I think that can really up the adrenaline of these players, especially around the 40, right?
Yeah,
or some of the shuttles and things like that. It really can give you some extra hype, because I remember just how cold, how quiet, how sterile it was when I was there. Yeah. And I wasn't working out. Like, Peyton and I knew we were going to be the number 1 or number 2 overall picks. It was inevitable. Mm-hmm. So neither of us worked out or did anything there other than weigh in and do some interviews. We were going to do our workout at our universities, our later in the year, and I think mine was around April 3rd of that season. And so that's what, and I think that's the best way to do it, because you're throwing to all the guys you know. Coach Price had a great idea on my pro day. He trotted out my 5 wide receivers who were exceptionally talented and good, but weren't getting a lot of looks because, they each had I split it up so well. I spread it around so much that everybody had a bunch of catches. Everybody had a bunch of touchdowns. There was no guy that just leapt off the page, though they were incredibly talented. So coach put them all in their jerseys, ran them out, and they ran their route tree for me. The coaches and GMs were there to see me, of course, but now they got a chance to see all these wide receivers. They had their jerseys on with their names on it.
That's cool.
And sure enough, it opened up a couple opportunities. I believe Kevin McKenzie, my slot wide receiver, as well as Chris Jackson, both got opportunities in the NFL. In fact, Chris Jackson went on to be one of the best offensive wide receivers in the Arena Football League. And so, yeah, and another one, Sean McWashington, he got a great chance too with the Kansas City Chiefs. So, I mean, it opened up some doors for those guys because they were so good, so talented. They made me who I was playing in college football for sure. So there's many of opportunity. The biggest takeaway from that interesting side-by-side with the unknown versus Kenny Pickett, it doesn't matter, all right? You showcase what you're capable of doing. Now can you do it at the next level? And your hand size, though beneficial sometimes, doesn't necessarily lead to success or wins, right? It is your ability to lead as a leader. It's your ability to understand and then filtrate that information quickly against the best defenses in the world. And ultimately, how do you deal with failure? I would argue that Kenny Pickett has gone through some pretty lows, pretty much a lot of lows while in college, right, at Pittsburgh, right? Years where they were really down, whether or not he was the answer for them. And then for them to come and win a championship this year and to do it in the style, it's very reminiscent of how we did and got to a championship and put ourselves in that position. So I wish him nothing but success. I think people a lot of times want me or believe I want there to be a next bust out there, right? Somebody who comes along and kind of takes the mantle from me. That could be further from the truth, right? A funny way to look at it is I'm incredibly competitive, right? I'm so competitive. I'm the biggest bust, all right? We can disagree on that one.
Nobody is taking that away from you.
No one's taking that mantle from me, all right?
I'm going to disagree. I don't believe you have that.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Well, guess what, guys? It's the name of my podcast, so we're going in that direction, all right?
See,
it's a marketing tool.
Yeah, second worst bust. It doesn't have the same ring to it.
We just tried to put a positive spin on it, Chris. And you know.
I know.
I appreciate that. I don't think there really is. I think the word bust is anybody who played.
If you made it to that level,
if you're one of 27,000,
yeah,
if you're one of 27,000, I get the idea that so much was put into it. And sometimes I have.
Where'd that word even come from?
That's a great question.
I don't know.
You know, people talk about the origins of words. Like we use upset for when a team that's not expected to win.
How did that come about?
It was actually from a horse race like 100 years ago. The horse's name was Upset, and it won a dramatic race, and so that just became the thing people said.
Wow.
But I don't know the origin of the word bust. Like who used it first? Who were they talking about? It's something that's not really well known. I'm sure a quick Google search may tell me, but it's not something I know off the top of my head.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.